So this time around we're going to do a little outdoor lawn and gardening with some 3D printing. Now I've done these, the same model in both PLA and PETG, and they worked, but not for very long. This is TPU. Very flexible. I shouldn't say very flexible. I've got it pretty solidly built, so it's pretty hard, but it is a flex. And I have a feeling it's going to actually last and take a little damage. And what this does is, there's a little, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little lip in there. And it allows me to mount my brush blade on my weed whacker. The one that it came with, or the one that it came with no longer works. Dull, bent, blah blah blah. I had this one, came off an old gas powered one, put it on there. The only problem is the blade's actually thinner than this gap for the bolt. So the spacer, the centering spacer that centers the blade on the drive shaft is thicker than the actual blade is, so when you tighten the bolt down it doesn't clamp down on the blade. Anyway, so we have this little washer. Now I've just put regular everyday washers and stacked them and they work, but it's kind of a pain and it's obnoxious. This I'm hoping will be easier. So let's find out if we can 3D print in TPU, and this is just inexpensive. I think it's Zorro or something. I'll put a name somewhere. It's not expensive. It's not like super soft. It's, if anything, it's actually kind of hard, but it's still TPU. It's flexible. I think it'll take some hits without breaking. So let's go outside. I got my dirty shirt on, got my dirty hat on, I got my lawn and garden, I got my safety glasses. Let's go outside and do some brush cutting, weed whacking, yeehaw lawn and garden. So this is where we're at. The blade fits on here, it centers up, but this shoulder actually sticks up thicker than this blade is thick, sticks up higher. So if I tighten the nut up, plus it's got a little shoulder on the thread here, I don't know if you can see that. I'll take a close-up picture if you can't. So to put this on here, I need a washer, but even with just a washer, it doesn't clamp because this shoulder's too high. So I've designed these little 3D printed washers. Basically it's just a spacer that, you know, has a little lip in it right here. So it goes over that raise, centers it, put a washer on it so it's got a little structure, and then clamp it down. Of course it's reverse thread if you don't know. And then tighten her up. And right now it just spins. Now I did some out of PLA and I did some out of PETG and they worked, but they didn't last. Half hour max, and believe it or not, the PLA far outlasted the PETG. Partially because I think I did less infill with the PETG than I did with the PLA. I did PETG first. But anyways, let's go give it a shot. I have a feeling this will work just fine. The TPU is plenty impactable. You know, if you hit it with a rock or something, it's not going to blow apart. It might tear it a little bit, but it's not going to shatter. So it should still work. But let's give it a shot. I got some weed whacking and some brush cutting to do down in the street from the storm, and we're going to hack it up and give it a shot. So here's what I'm dealing with. There's a bunch of brush and this old tree that wasn't actually that old, but this tree that fell down and all this brush down here, and I want to get it in the woods over there. Take all this brush, I'm going to chop it up some, and there's a big cliff over here. I'm going to dump it at the bottom of the cliff, but I need to cut a trail in here. So we're going to use the weed whacker, bust out some of that brush so I can make an easy path, drag that stuff into the woods, and be happy. So here we are, got glasses, got our awesome Outback hat, long clothes, again, glasses, gloves. There's poison ivy in here, so I try and keep fully covered. We have our bladed weed whacker, and yes, this is battery powered. I kind of like it. I've been using this for years. It has far outlasted my gas powered ones. has just as much power and takes a lot less service. So let's get to it. So that worked. So here it is. You can see it works pretty well. Worked really well, actually. Better than I expected. Nice pass. I can drag brush back here. I got about half of it done. My knee's driving me nuts, so I'm not going to do anymore. But there you go. Will it last? I think not indefinitely. Not like a metal washer would. But for the 18 minutes it took me to print it and 5 minutes it took me to design it, the TPU works great. Like I said, the PLA and the PETG, they worked, but they cracked. You get one good hit into something and it would crack, where the TPU kind of flexes. So there you have it. So after some use, and I used it a little bit more, I took it off, kind of inspected it, and as you can see, it's barely harmed. There's some marks on it if you look on the sides, but I kind of abused it. I beat on it pretty hard and it held up. I printed another one thinking it would, I'd need it, and I don't. I have noticed that it squishes down, but that's understandable. It's, these are exactly the same print, everything. I don't know if you can tell in there, but the original is a little thicker. Obviously, when I clamp it, it's squishing it. It's going to stay a little squished. It's, it's an expensive TPU, but I think it's brilliant. I mean, yeah, it's just a goofy little spacer. It works. And sometimes the right material for the job is better than just the design. Like I said, the PETG and the PLA, both, they worked. I could use them, but it was a pain. They kept shattering. Where this is just, it's like untouched. There you have it.